I welcome everyone to the second part of the video. I hope you have already watched the first part and you liked it. Do not forget to add comments. Your opinion about the stories is important to me. Well, let's get started. The first story and the second part from the user. Educational pick, let's listen. I, 30 female, have a 14-year-old daughter, Leah. Married my husband, Mark, 46 male, 6 years ago. He has 2 children from a previous marriage, Koi, 16 male, and Coral, 14 female. Me and Mark have the kids full-time, but his kids live with their mom for a few weeks. During the summer, they moved into my lake house, which has 5 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms upstairs have bathrooms. My daughter had one of those rooms. But as the girls began high school, Coral began complaining about not having a bathroom and said it's unfair. Mark and Koi told her to stop complaining. Leah said it was fine and asked us if she could turn the basement into her room. I didn't like that idea, but she begged. So I agreed. Turns out my daughter wanted a room makeover, so this worked out. We give the kids allowance and allowed them to get a work permit. Koi worked at an arcade and told the girls he could get them jobs. Coral refused to work, but Leah agreed. After 5 months of saving her allowance, she able to buy everything she needed to decorate. Coral never bothered to go down there because she believed it was full of spiders. But Koi was down there every day helping her. After a week, she completely transformed the basement. She invited everyone down, and it was stunning. I didn't even know that computer towers could be clear. She looked so proud. Coral then screamed that it wasn't fair and that she wanted the basement now. Everyone began yelling at her, but she began crying, and before we know it, she ran over to the computer and threw the tower on the ground. The glass shattered, and one of the monitors fell to the floor, also breaking. My daughter cried. I explained to Mark that Coral has to pay for this. He said her emotions are just high, and that we'll get situated when everything calms down. I ran to Coral and yelled, saying that she's on punishment. Mark didn't agree, but I didn't care. Coral was unnecessarily crying and ran to her mother's car. Koi was trying to help my daughter, and Mark tried to hand her $300, but Koi explained that Coral caused about $1,000 worth of damages. He said luckily the expensive pieces in the case were saved, but the case itself was about $450 and the monitor was $200. Mark explained that he doesn't have that kind of money. So I said she can't come back until my daughter's stuff is repaired with a sincere apology. Koi agreed, and Mark was upset, saying he couldn't do that to his daughter. I told him to leave if that's the case. Mark left for a few hours and handed my daughter a check for $1,000. I explained that Coral can't come back if there is no punishment. My husband's ex-wife is saying that I'm banning her from our home because she didn't deserve that bigger space and that we were treating Coral unfairly. But I said she did that. There was nothing unfair about the situation. The ex just hung up. Now my husband's ex-in-laws are bombarding him with phone calls saying he's a horrible dad. His sister even said he's being a bad parent and they're best friends, so it's really getting to him. This happened last night and he hasn't gotten up yet. Should I apologize? Author update this story. I found out the complete story, and there is a lot of drama. It's over a boy. So both my daughters are cheerleaders, and it's a Valentine's Day dance coming up. All of Coral's friends are cheerleaders, and they all date football players except her. So for the past month, her friends have been trying to hook her up with Brad. But it turns out he is interested in Leah. After all the games, Brad talked with Leah. So Coral came up with a rumor that Leah plays Roblox. It's not really a rumor, but Brad found out. So after school, a few days before the incident, Coral tells Brad how childish Leah is for still playing Roblox. And Brad says he doesn't think it's childish. Turns out him and his friends play and then invited Leah to join them. Then yesterday after school in the hallway, Brad had his friends recorded this big proposal to the dance that included flowers and chocolate, and Leah accepted. Apparently Coral was crying at cheerleading practice and Leah went up to ask what's wrong and if she needs anything. Coral and her friends started cursing Leah out, so Leah just backed off. Then this morning Coral posted on Facebook about how Leah is the favorite child and that she was kicked out of her decorated bedroom in order for Leah to have it. Her mom, Drea, had also posted something similar. Coy didn't want this to ruin Leia's reputation, so he posted everything about their lies. He also posted a picture of the shattered case and explained how everything Coral said was a lie and how Leia was nice enough to give up her bedroom. Drea also called us some horrible names. Then Coy responded that the reason the custody is no longer 50-50 is because Drea's husband hates kids. Apparently Coral didn't know this, but Drea sent my husband a text saying he knows how her husband feels about the kids being here, so he needs to make up with her and let her come home. Mark then screenshot this and sent it to Coral. She came home and went straight to her room. She skipped practice. Leia is on her way, so when she gets home, we'll have a family meeting. Author update this story in the second time. So we had a long talk. Coral came down and apologized to Leia, and she was jealous about Brad. She also apologized to me for lying to her aunt. She believed that Leia got everything she asked for. So I had her explain, and the only thing she said was, Brad. As I was about to explain, Mark stepped in and told her that wasn't everything. Mark then explained everything Coral got, which included a room makeover, which Leia had to pay for on her own. A brand new laptop, after Leia had to pay for her entire computer setup. He then asked, is this really about a guy that she doesn't have anything in common with? Coral then told us how popular he was, and that because Leia is a nerd, they don't mesh. Other than cheerleading, Leia is in Quiz Bowl and a robot making club. Leia explained now that football was over, Brad was also in those clubs, and so are his friends who the other cheerleaders date. Coral then began crying again, because after the Facebook post, her friends explained that their boyfriends don't want to be involved with a liar and advised them to stop hanging with her, so they didn't sit with her at lunch today. Mark calmly told her that was her own doing. She broke down and said, I know. Mark then held her in his arms and apologized about sending her the screenshot and explained that I wasn't the bad guy. She then explained that Drea told her that I forced Mark to get full custody so that we all could be one big, happy family. So that, along with the Brad situation, made her lash out. She then ran to hug me, saying how sorry she was, and looked at Leia and apologized once again. I brought up family therapy, and everyone agreed. Coral took the post down already and apologized to Leia publicly. I know things are looking up, but without friends and this situation with her mom, I'm not sure what's going to happen. What I think about this story, to be honest, that's one good kid, and it's obviously been super useful in him being close enough in age and stuff to know the truth of the situation and try to act on that rather than unnecessary or tired loyalties. Then again, he is still a kid. And 14. Not so long ago himself, so used to all the high school dramas, but he seems to be growing up well. Let's check the user comment. Airing your business on social media makes something that could be controlled and handled into something all family and friends can feast on. I also think it is borderline abusive to kick a child out of their home. There are other punishments. You've told her now that is not her home, that it is temporary and can be taken from her at any moment. How can her father be okay with that? You crossed a line that should never be crossed, Emo. She damaged your daughter's computer. That is obviously wrong and needed to be punished, but by telling her she doesn't have a home, while I get she has another home, you made it clear your home is her primary home. Her stepfather doesn't want her there. Of course, Kai helped. He knows the consequences. You should reflect on your feelings for your stepdaughter. The first story from the user, Salamander, let's listen. I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 37 female, for 7 years, and we were together another 3 before that. We had a daughter, 5 female. On the outside, our marriage appears to be perfect. She and I own a nice house with a good school district, have a great kid, and both work full-time. Her job requires her to do some travel and wants her in the office 3 days a week. My job does not pay as well, but I work completely remote and spend a lot of time talking my daughter to soccer or doctor's appointments, as well as keeping up around the house. Before anyone asks, this is not a weight gain issue. I am active and fit, and my wife is the same. For the past 4 or so years, my wife has shown basically no interest in our marriage and acts more like my roommate than partner. We have basically no romance or intimacy. When I say intimacy, I know some people will jump to sleep, but to me, intimacy means acting like a couple. Hand-holding, kisses, cuddling, and obviously sleep. None of those are really things my wife wants to do and makes it painfully obvious that she isn't interested. Before she and I were very much an amazing couple. My wife also shows no interest in my life. She has forgotten important events like our anniversary and my birthday. Our last anniversary, she said she needed to cancel the dinner plans I made for the 2 of us because she had to work late on a Friday and travel for work the following week. I brought this up to my therapist, who suggested couples therapy and is willing to give some recommendations. I brought this up to my wife, who immediately shut it down, saying, "There's nothing wrong with me. I don't need therapy." I have made multiple suggestions to her for how we can possibly improve our relationship. Family vacation? Our daughter won't appreciate it. I don't see what 5-year-old wouldn't want to go to the beach for a couple of days, but maybe I'm wrong. A romantic getaway for just her and, "No, I'm too busy at work." Or, "Can't we just spend time together at home? Taking our daughter on a bike ride and going out to lunch on a weekend? I want to just relax." So I gave up trying to initiate anything with her and recently began looking for an out. I watched my parents in a failing marriage for a decade and don't want to put my child through that. I talked to a lawyer and got papers ready and can buy a condo in town to keep our daughter in the same school district with her friends, since I can't afford our house by myself. I recently confronted my wife when our daughter was at a playdate. I told her that I am seriously considering leaving her, since I feel as though I don't matter to her, and our relationship is never a priority to her. I told her I have an exit plan, and if she doesn't make changes by the new year, I am going to file for divorce and full custody. She and I got into a big fight where she basically told me I was manipulative and an asshole for blindsiding her like that. I told her that none of this would be an issue if she cared about us, or at least pretended to. I told her I don't want our daughter to see how unhealthy our relationship is. All of this happened yesterday. Author update this story. Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for all of your replies and messages. I received a ton and haven't been able to reply to them all. It has been a crazy couple of weeks, unfortunately. My marriage is over, and after talking to my wife, I realize it has been for a long time. The day after my post, I began the divorce process with my lawyer. Everyone who said I was an asshole for saying I was going to get full custody, that is true. I was angry, frustrated, and said something I shouldn't have. We are going to split custody, with me having the weekdays and my wife having weekends. That said, everyone who said she was cheating, congratulations, you were right. She has been for around 4 years now, which is about the time she started withdrawing from our marriage. She has been cheating with this coworker because she felt like she was not attractive after having a child, and I was busy with work and childcare. More recently, she has begun to develop feelings for him and was considering leaving me for him, which she is now free to do. When I gave her the ultimatum, she was surprised that I was considering leaving her and thought I knew about her affair at the time. We sat our daughter down and explained that we are splitting up, but we both love her more than anything. My daughter was understandably upset and is having a tough time. I am looking into therapy options for my daughter and told her that she can always tell me how she is feeling. This is the hardest part of everything so far. My wife and I are going to be geographically close. I'm going to be moving into a condo in early January, and my wife is going to move in with her coworker about 15 minutes away. With the sale of our house, I will be able to pay off a large portion of my new home. According to the lawyer, we can have everything wrapped up by New Year's if it goes smoothly. But with the holidays, I'll be happy with early January. In the meantime, I'm going to start rebuilding my life. I did not get married with the intention of getting divorced, but here we are. I am going to work on myself and my relationship with my daughter, starting with a vacation. I am going to surprise her with a trip to Disney this winter. It will be expensive, but I really want to make her happy and create some happy memories. I'm going to miss her on weekends. Maybe one day I'll explain this all to her when she is an appropriate age, and we can talk about it more. In the meantime, I am going to work on myself and try to be the best version of me that I can. I don't know what the future holds, but I guess I'll know eventually. What I think about this story: the most cruel part is not only did she drag it out, she deprived her child of some really great memories that it sounds like they could afford time and money-wise, simply because she was more focused on herself and her new boyfriend above all else. Absolutely vile. The person who recommended no overnight guests as a clause is very wise. I hope the oop will have the freedom to do things on his own, and with his kiddo now, without his ex dragging them all down. Thanks to everyone who was with us today. Very grateful for your support. That's all for today. Jimmy was with you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.